The Proterozoic lasts about 2 billion years, from 2.5 billion years ago to 541 million years ago, give or take a few million years. This is by far the longest eon in Earth's history. The Paleoproterozoic was the first of three eras in the Proterozoic. It lasted 900 million years and constitutes one-fifth of Earth's history. This Paleoproterozoic is separated from the Archean by a great catastrophe. The first oxidation event was a long time coming by this point. Cyanobacteria had been producing oxygen for millions of years. The oxygen they produced wasn't toxic to them, but it did kill almost all other forms of life. The other problem they were causing was with carbon dioxide. These creatures were pulling it out of the air and turning it into food through the process of photosynthesis. This went smoothly for a while until the cyanobacteria ran out of carbon dioxide. These creatures starved to death, and only a few exceptions survived. Also, since CO2 is a greenhouse gas, when all of it was removed from the atmosphere, the Earth's temperature dropped significantly, and Earth froze over. The last thing I should mention is that some of the oxygen in the atmosphere reacted to make ozone, which then formed the ozone layer. The new ozone layer then blocked ultraviolet light from hitting Earth and made it harder to photosynthesize. This event was the worst thing that had ever happened to life on Earth so far. The life that emerged on the other end of this apocalypse was much stronger. There were ice ages after this, but none of them were nearly as destructive. The development of life stagnated after this, but by the beginning of the Mesoproterozoic, which started 1.6 billion years ago, it was flourishing. Stromatolites had hit their peak, and many new kinds of bacteria were evolving. Some of these bacteria weren't even bacteria anymore. The first cells with a nucleus evolved. These are called eukaryotes, and they're much more complex than prokaryotes. All modern multicelled and some single-celled organisms are descended from these creatures. 1 billion years ago, eukaryotes had become abundant and diversified to a point where scientists mark it as the start of the Neoproterozoic. This era is divided into three periods. The Tonian was defined by the diversification of life and the increasing role eukaryotes played in Earth's early environments. It ended abruptly 720 million years ago when another ice age covered the Earth. The Cryogenians saw the breakup of Rhodina, a supercontinent that formed during the Proterozoic. The ice would wax and wane throughout this period. The Cryogenian period ended 635 million years ago when the ice finally stopped. Quickly after this, the biggest leap since life came out of the primordial soup happened. Complex multicellular life evolved, and it defined the Ediacaran and every period after it. The Ediacaran saw the first animals, plants, and fungus. The creatures we find in this period are bizarre. We have things like Charnia, which is an animal that dominated the oceans. We have creatures like Sprigina, which looks like a missing link between worms and arthropods. We have creatures with trilateral and fractal symmetry. We have creatures that we don't even know if they were a plant or an animal or something else entirely. We do know one thing, however, and that is it can only get better from here.